We all had an early vision of what our lives would look like, and then life actually happened. From marriage to motherhood, career dreams, and everything in between, this is Life Actually with Mary Belle. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Life Actually with Mary Belle. I am actually Mary Bellatieri, and I've noticed I keep saying Mary Belle, which was my abbreviated name for the sake of book covers, because I was like, Bellatieri is going to be very difficult to fit on a book, and people are probably not going to spell it correctly. I was a gal who wanted a lot of vowels, Italian vowels in my last name, and I found them. Thank you, babe. So yeah, Mary Belle is short for Bellatieri. A lot of people get confused by that. And we are talking today, actually, the last episode was, were our parents gatekeepers? And it's very funny whenever I mention my parents, because A, they are like top fans. And B, I think every once in a while, my mom gets a little bit nervous about what I'm going to say. And she laughed because not in this episode, but a different one. I was telling her before I left this morning, because she's at home watching our daughter. I go, Mom, I'm going to ... She goes, oh my God. That was her response. So from Were Our Parents Gatekeepers today, if you've been in tune with what's going on, I am a contemporary romance author. But I actually wrote a kid's book. The story is written. I found my illustrator, which is Emma Louise Clark. She's UK based. I found her thanks to my fantastic friend and just fellow woman chasing her dreams, Louisa Vilardi, who's a photographer and a writer and a little bit of everything. She had written a children's book a while back, and she had a bunch of illustrators that she's like, I didn't use these because she wanted a specific type of illustrator. So she's like, you might like it for yours. I looked at this woman's work, Emma Louise Clark. She's based in the UK. I believe I just said that. And it was exactly what I envisioned for my book. And I always sort of had kids' book on, the sheet, the to-do list, my never-ending to-do list or bucket list, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like, I don't know, a few months ago, Marina, again, if you follow me on Instagram, my daughter, her content does so much better than my own. Everybody loves Marina content. She's so hilarious. She's very strong-willed. She's very sassy. She's very sweet. She's like a Sour Patch Kid. I realized out of nowhere one day, I was like, this is not going to be here for that many more years before she gets to be like 7, 8, 9, 10, where they go into like the next phase of sassiness, where, dare I say, it's a little bit less cute than the current stage that she's in right now. So I had said to my husband, I'm like, I feel like now is the time to do this. And when we were coming home from Atlantic City, it was a bunch of months ago, I was like really overwhelmed with all the work that I had on my list of things I had to do for either my books or just anything that I have on my list. And we were going to be in the car for 3 hours. And I was like, I can't sit in this car for 3 hours and not get something done. And I feel like anybody who's listening, who's a small business owner, entrepreneur, you know that feeling. Like, that is the beauty of when you work in an office building or you have a quote regular 9-to-5 job. Like, you go in, you clock in, you do your work, and then you clock out. And a lot of people sort of have the benefit of, you don't have to think about that place until you go back on a Monday from a Friday or, the next day. When you are working for yourself, yes, you have this incredible freedom and flexibility, but there's also this element to it where like your brain just doesn't shut off. And anytime that you have a couple minutes of free time to yourself, you're like conditioned to feel, I should be doing something. I should be, I don't know, posting. I should be going through my email. I should be making a new, I don't know, LinkedIn, everything. Your brain doesn't stop. And Claudio knows, right? Like, you're running your own business and you just, you don't ever really shut off too easily. So when I was driving home, Jay was driving, obviously, I said, all right, I'm going to just try to pop out one of these kids' book ideas, because I have a sheet and I have 5 different subjects that I want to write about based on things that Marina has just said in passing or lessons that we have talked about. And I think it took me 23 minutes. I propped up pillows, because this is a good one for the moms. I never really got motion sickness ever in my life until I popped a kid out. And my entire equilibrium is now just ruined. I can't go on a swing without feeling like my head is on like in a magnetron. Remember those from the 90s? Right? I don't know whoever thought a magnetron would be a great idea for a kid on a boardwalk, but like We loved it. We waited till it did its centrifugal motion and sucked us to the back pads, and everybody went upside down. It was crazy. That's what I feel like if I'm on a swing. I get motion sickness or seasickness now when I never used to. And that all happened as soon as I gave birth. I don't know if we have any doctors in the house who would like to weigh in on that, why that happens. But that happened. So I prop up, I think it was like my overnight bag, my suitcase. So I was able to put my computer like right here. So I was in the car looking like, Lord knows what I looked like. And I was typing like this, like straight up, so that my at least line of vision was like this and not looking down. And it took me 23 minutes to write the actual story because a kid's book obviously is not long, right? I think it's like 900 something words as opposed to a romance novel that I think my books are 95,000 words or something like that. So I wrote it quickly. When I started talking to my friend Louisa, who I mentioned before, about it, she sort of, turned me on to this illustrator. And I had gone on to Fiverr, I think it is. I don't know if that's how you say it. Fiverr. Yeah. Fiverr. I'm not sure either. But you basically find freelance artists and creatives and video and editors and illustrators, a whole bunch of different people. And I looked and I saw a lot of stuff that was like digital art. And it wasn't the vibe that I wanted. And then I had other people that it looked very much like hand done, on an iPad. And maybe it was like a line, like a stick figure. It wasn't quite as developed as I wanted. And then when I found Emma's, she's on Instagram as Looby Dooby Illustrator, I believe. I'll try to remember to tag her underneath in the caption. It was perfect. And if you've seen like the little marina prototype, by now I have the cover everywhere. I launched a Kickstarter campaign. The book is called Is Today Tomorrow, which if you are a parent, you know the danger zone that is telling your kid you're going to do something any time prior than 5 minutes before that activity begins. Because all you will hear for the remainder of the time from when the activity begins is, are we going there yet? Are we going to be doing this yet? Is it that day yet, Mom? How many hours? How many more days? And it's brutal. There's no other nicer way to put that. So those people that you see that surprise their kids the morning of to go to Disney, that's probably why they did it. Because if you tell your kids you're going to Disney anything more than like a day ahead of time, that you're never going to hear anything besides it. So is another good thing too, because she's in preschool and they're learning about days of the week and, they're learning about time. So it just really worked perfectly that the whole book itself is a little bit of patience, like learning to be patient while you're looking forward to something that's super exciting. Learning the days of the week, Sunday through Saturday, so when you're reading the story to your kid, they'll be able to repeat the days and you could say the days to them. And most importantly, the part that's near and dear to my heart that I remind myself of having to do too, while you're waiting for all these exciting things to come, don't forget to find the good in every day, like leading up to it. So we made with Summit promo, fabulous company that I met through Tony Peck's The Circle community, a big networking group. So she printed these shirts. I created the design. She printed them in a bunch of colors so that we have all the beautiful pictures of a variety of our friends' kids wearing the shirts. And part of the Kickstarter is if you want to pledge, you can pledge for a book and a shirt, 3 books, 3 shirts. There's a whole bunch of different levels of pledging. And also, if you happen to be a teacher or know somebody who's a teacher, there's actually an educator's guide where for an extra $5, if you purchase the book, I would send you at the end of the campaign. I think there's like coloring worksheets, suggested activities to do with your students after reading the book with them. And I'm actually looking forward to, there's a handful of schools that I have interest in and they have interest as well, where I will go in, read the books to the classes themselves. And then you can also send a form home with parents so that they'd be able to order the books or the t-shirts for their own kids. So this is kind of like a whole extra side venture from, contemporary romance, obviously steamy romance. Those are the books for the moms and these are the books for the children. So I just wanted to do that while she's still young and she has interest in it. So her preschool started this community board. And if you have a business or a side hustle, they have on the board, like you could post whatever it is you do so other people see what you're offering. And so I made a flyer and it has me on it holding the book, her face on it, Marina. And now she like walks in and out of school and she's like, oh my God, there I am. And like, there's going to come a time where she's super embarrassed by that, or she's probably going to be less enthused by it than she is now. Like I got her at the sweet spot where she thinks I'm pretty cool, that I'm an author, and I just don't know when that's going to change. So we're going to pump these kids' books out while she still thinks that, so I don't have to have over and over and over conversations of trying to explain, hey, listen, like, I don't know. Then this is the perfect segue into the most important things to teach our children, which are the things that I wanted to funnel into books. So Is Today Tomorrow is not just about days of the week. It's like I said, patience and really finding the good in every day while you're looking forward to other things. I think adults need to do that too, right? Like you have a vacation coming up. I don't know, maybe you and Catherine have a dinner date planned tomorrow and you need to enjoy that just as much as you're going to enjoy your vacation and not just keep waiting for things to come. It's like that next destination happiness where you forget to enjoy the things that you're in the middle of while you're looking forward to the next event or stage of your life. And then I have a whole bunch of other ideas that I won't necessarily dive into right now, but there'll be more kids' books. We're halfway funded on the Kickstarter campaign, which is pretty cool. I think we're at 52% right now, and we have 17 days left to go. So halfway funded with a little over halfway left to go because you have to get it funded within the 30 days or everybody, like the pledges, I guess, go away. Nobody's actually been charged for anything yet. So this was actually, and I did pre-orders on my own website for both of my romance books. I have experience in e-commerce and email marketing. All of my orders went through my website and I marketed them on my own. A friend suggested, hey, why don't you try Kickstarter? Because you might find different eyes of people who, just, my own mother used to say, learning to find the good in every day. Maybe it resonates with them. And maybe they want to invest $1 million as a pledge. I'm just kidding. But like I went on Kickstarter because I'm like, okay, let's see how much further it can get than my own sort of network that I've already built up. And it's not really working that way. I think there's only 2 names of pledges, the people behind the pledges, who I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that they're friends of somebody that I do know. So it hasn't gone anywhere on Kickstarter. And also, if anybody's considered doing a Kickstarter, you get like 1 million emails from people. Oh, I can help you get your Kickstarter up in the search engines. Like, listen, I'm trying to raise money. I'm not trying to spend more money in order to raise money. So no, thank you. And what I actually think is happening is that people go into Kickstarter, they've either never seen it before, or it's yet another thing where you have to create an account and a sign in and a password. And it's kind of been a deterrent. Like a lot of people just don't understand how to go in, choose your reward. Am I going to get charged now? Am I going to get charged later? So I really feel like it was a good learning experience. I don't think I'd do Kickstarter again for that reason. I would just do another pre-order on my own website because I had great success doing that. But if you're interested in pledging, and I hope you are, if you're listening to this and you haven't already, it could be as little as $5. It does not have to be a full book. You can always get the book later on Amazon, which again, of course, it'll be less expensive on Amazon. This is basically a way where it's like, hey, I believe in you. I believe in the project. I am willing to pay for the printing of the book itself, and a little bit extra in order to help you offset the costs of illustration and editing and, a whole bunch of things just to get your project kickstarted. So yeah, there's a lot more kids books coming. If you've already donated pledge to the Kickstarter, thank you so much. And I think we're going to get there. We have like 4,800 more to go with 17 days, I said. We could do it. I think we can do it. So anyway, so the most important things to teach our children, all of that is really, a segue into what are the things that I wanted to write books about. And if you're a parent, there are times that we sit down with books with our kids and we're like, somebody wrote this? And did anybody actually read it out loud to a child before it went to print? Because there are some things that I actually struggle with reading to Marina. And I'm like, this sounds horrible. Like it's either hard to read or, it doesn't make much sense. And even she said, she goes, Mom, I don't really like this book. So I wanted to make books that read well from the parent verbally to the child. I wanted to write a book that was not too long, not too short, and I wanted it to have great illustrations so that it actually keeps a kid attention, especially at the end of a long day when they are most tired and most, you know, uh, I don't know, volatile, we shall say. And then on top of it, I wanted there to be an actual tangible life lesson in every single book that I write. And I think that's a really hard thing that parents, really good, involved, engaged parents realize as you're parenting the amount of times that you repeat either new lessons or the same lesson to your kid over and over and over again. And it could be something as little as when you take your clothes off, the clothes don't go on the floor, they go in the hamper. When you brush your teeth, the toothbrush needs to get rinsed off so there's not a gob of toothpaste on the toothbrush. So rinse it off and then put it away in, the cup or the drawer that you got it from. When you finish eating, put your plate in the garbage. Like, I say these things probably 70 to 100 times a week. And you just have to keep doing it until it becomes second nature to them. And again, she's 5. I think she's a very old, smart 5. So I don't know, some people listening, maybe like she does these things at 5. I mean, she's capable of it and I've asked her to do it. So yeah, she does. But I get, not all kids are, necessarily the same in that manner. But the point is that whether it's a small scale thing like that you just feel as a parent, you just repeat, or it's something that's a big lesson, like being kind to people, and there's a fine line there, teaching your kid to be kind when you realize very quickly that not everybody is raising their kids the way that you're raising your kid, to be kind, to be accepting of others, to not judge others. Like, those are regular things that we talk about in our house. Like, I'm not walking around talking about who's tall, who's short, who's big, who's small, who's got dark hair, I don't really talk about anybody in that way. I make sure to say, wow, they're really smart. Oh, that person's really kind. Oh, that person's really interesting. Oh, that person's maybe they're beautiful. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying somebody's beautiful. I talk about people in that way because that's the way that I want my kid to describe people too, instead of just pointing out like very descriptive, well, she has a big nose. Like, that's, you're going to have the kid who's just inadvertently talking shit about people, which is not something that I want my kid to do. And again, like I started to say, not everybody is doing the same thing. So while I'm teaching Marina to sort of remember to do these things or try to remember to do them, she's going to end up getting judged. She's going to end up getting, pointed fingers at, like, oh, your hair's to this, your face is this, I don't like your sneakers. Like, there's so many different things when you're parenting that you could be teaching your kid the lesson. Other people are not. So then you also have to teach them, hey, I know I'm giving you like this advice in order to be the best kind of person you could be when you're out in school, at dance class with your friends. Not everybody is always going to share the same kindness or acceptance with you. It's kind of, you're going to have to expect it. And it's okay, so long as you don't let that stuff like ruin your day, ruin your thoughts about yourself, or make you think anything less about you than the person that you are. And again, like, as I'm saying this out loud, these are like big things that I'm teaching this kid and my husband too, not just me. But she's 5. But I mean, it starts when they're like right out of the womb. Like, since she's a little baby, like she's in the room with me getting dressed. Like, I'm not getting dressed going, oh my God, my pants don't fit and I have to stop eating. I might be thinking it, like nothing in my closet fits, but I am not verbalizing that, especially in front of her. What I am doing is saying, all right, it's time that we start eating a little bit healthier, because in the back of my mind, I know me as the mom. I've gained weight. I haven't worked out as much. I need to exercise more. I need to move more. And yeah, I may be doing a lot of great things like career wise, but like the last few years of my life, my body has just suffered because while I was focused on building a career and chasing dreams, I've shared this in all of our previous episodes pretty much, I stopped moving in order to become an author. And as a writer, I have not moved. And I have a physical scheduled where like I want to get all my blood checked. Like, what is my cholesterol? Like, what are all my levels everywhere? Because I'm sure it has severely impacted my health as far as like blood tests and things like that. So the last 3 weeks, us as a family, we've just been eating better, less processed food, not as much pizza, like
the pastas, the breads, the stuff like that. And even when you're raising a kid too, you could be around a lot of kids, like, who's eating their goldfish and their snacks and their gummies and their whatever. And I know there's a lot of kids who just like, they'll eat like little grazers. They'll have little pieces of food, little snacks here and there because they don't really want other things. We have a kid who just loves good food because that's what we really raised her on. Like, her favorite food is eggplant parmesan. I don't know many 5-year-olds whose favorite food is eggplant parm, but it's hers. So yeah, I want her to enjoy these foods. I don't want her to shy away from it. But us as a family, like, we're just doing better job at our serving sizes and our quantities and making sure that regardless of what we're eating and how we're trying to just eat more healthy, that we're moving as well. And that's a big lesson that, especially for kids too, is how confident you are in your body, how confident you are with your health, how confident you are in your clothes, and also never making anybody else, whether they are shorter, smaller, taller, larger than you, feel any different just because they're not the same as you. And this will be I think I'm talking about this in our next episode. Yeah. Body positivity. I've always been a larger stature my entire life. I've always been the larger person. So like, I'm pretty poised to raise a kid being as confident, with herself as possible. I've spent a 40 years, a lifetime doing it. So those are just really important things that I've tried to teach her so far about being healthy and making healthy choices, and then also not judging others for whatever it is they're eating. This is funny. They started having snack in preschool. The first day that these kids brought snack in, it was like gossip girls. She came home, she goes, this person had this person had that. And all of the moms got together and we were like, did your kid give you the lowdown on what every kid had as a snack? And everybody did the same thing. So it's interesting. They all, when you're that young, you are comparing. There's plenty of adults who do the same thing, right? They just compare whatever they have with whatever other people have. And if, you haven't spent a lifetime really trying to figure out the way to be the most confident in yourself, you will just judge yourself based on what other people have or don't have. And it's just a big thing that I'm trying to teach her, even as young as 5, to not do. Are you happy with your snack? Yes. If you're not happy with your snack, then the next time pick a snack that's going to make you happier, So it is exhausting reinforcing those lessons. But like I said, you have to display the lessons yourself for them to actually get it. And it's basically do as I, well, the expression is people who don't do that, do as I say, not as I do. As a mom, I'm trying to live my best as do as I do. And I'm trying to, I can't tell her, hey, we're only having 1 sweet per day. And then she's watching me eat, ice cream and cookies. Like, I have to be the example for her. And I really realized that too. Whatever I was eating, then I sort of have like my little buddy and she's eating the same thing with me. But like, I'm not teaching her healthy habits. So I had to find that in myself, which this is like a newer thing in the last few weeks. I've really been better with healthier eating, moving my body, like being very mindful of like my scrolling. Do you ever get caught in like just the scroll? Oh my God, it's like an hour and a half later and you're like, what the fuck did I just do with that hour and a half? And especially as like small business and entrepreneur, you in the moment convince yourself that you're either doing research or you're, I'm going to save this for marketing. It does not take an hour and a half to do that, and you could be, I've learned this really from Tony, because Tony Peck, he's a marketing guru. He's going to be a guest in a couple months. And he's a master networker. This man does so much in the same 24 hours a day that other people have. And it feels like he's on social media all day long, but he's not. He said like what he really tries to do is to break it up as like morning, I think midday and nighttime. And you always know when Tony is on because he's so great at like engaging in everybody's content. You'll see like 20 notifications from Tony Peck, and all of us in the networking group say the same thing. Like, he'll just go on, he'll like your post, he'll comment, he'll go through your stories. He keeps in touch with like everything that you're doing. And he does it like in a way where like you really feel like it's genuine. So he's doing it in the morning. He does it midday. He does it in the evening. And I've really tried in the last week or so to adopt that because otherwise my screen time is like 9 hours a day on my phone. And one day I looked at that. I'm like, Your eyes are locked on your phone for 9 hours a day. How are you even getting anything done? So, and again, that is another thing that is a lesson we're teaching our kids. Oh, you can only have, 1 hour, 2 hours of screen time on your iPad. Okay, but am I doing that? No. I just said I had 9 hours of screen time on my phone, but my kid's only allowed to have 2, and then she's looking at me and like, granted, yes, I'm quote working, but like again, it's doing as I say, not as I do. I have to lead the charge with that. Like, all right, let's go outside together. Let's move our bodies together. Let's go play. Let's go exercise. Let's, I don't know, read a good old fashioned book together so that it's not just, electronic screen. Um, and I have to say, like, Marine is very good at keeping me in check. So when I'm teaching her a variety of things, which we touched on a few of them so far, about being kind to other people. There's times where, like, again, I've said this a lot, my balls can get twisted about something. I can get aggravated about something. And she will stop me. She'll be like, Mom, you don't sound like you're being very kind. And I'm like, you're right, I'm not. And then one time, actually a bunch of times, she goes, Mom, you sound very aggravated. I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, you're right. I am aggravated. And then most recently, because when she moves slowly, every mom that listens to this will know exactly what I'm talking about. When you have to get ready for things, they move like sloths. And like they're going so fast all day long. When you actually have to be somewhere on time, the slowness with which they move is mind-boggling. So that I'll ask her, like, babe, you got to go start brushing your teeth. You got to go get your pants on. You got to do this. You got to do that. And she's like, okay, Mom. And then she'll be looking at herself in the mirror doing her dance recital dance. I'm like, babe, you got to go brush your teeth. Got to go put your pants on. Okay, Mom. And then she'll be like doing, like, brushing her teeth like this slowly. It's insane. And then I'll yell and she'll say, Mom, you just yelled at me like a crazy person. And then I will yell again and I will say, I would not have to be a crazy person if you listen the first time, which again, every parent that will resonate with, because it's just the same thing that we say all the time. But it's very funny because the more that you teach them these things and you try to instill them in your kid, there's been times I talk to Jay and I'm like, I just feel like I repeat myself all day long and it just doesn't stick. It's sticking and it will stick later on. It just feels like it's like a futile attempt in the moment that you're doing it, because it's just so frustrating when they don't necessarily do it the way that you want them to or when you want them to. So I said, the whole lesson to be kind. And there is a fine balance between teaching a kid to be kind and not getting taken advantage of. So like, this is a good one as a parent. How do you teach your kid to be kind to everybody, right? Usually I say be kind to everybody except for those who don't deserve it. That is my caveat with that. And I don't know if that's not the best thing to say as a parent, but like I've said to her, I said, if somebody's not being nice to you, you do not have to be nice to them back, you don't have to make a big scene about it, but like, I don't want my kids still trying to like be nice to somebody who's blatantly being rude to them, like, I don't know what the proper thing is to say there, but I do instill be kind to everybody. And, if somebody's not being nice to you, I guess you can give them the benefit of the doubt, but just like walk away from them, like it's kind of what you do in your adult life too. You meet people who are just not the vibe and you're like, nah, you're not a very nice person. So I'll go hang out with somebody else. That has nothing to do with me personally. Like you're having a bad day. I don't want to be any part of that. And that's what I try to teach her as well. A big one is don't compare yourself to others. Be your own person. And I've learned this watching her in both school and in dance. She'll just get dressed and she'll be so excited. And she'll be like, Mom, I really think it could be anybody. It could be her teacher, her best friend, her quote boyfriend. I really think this person is going to love my dress. And I say, it's great if they love your dress, but do you love your dress? Because you have to love yourself the most. Like you have to love it. You can't sit there and wait for other people to compliment you all the time because you're going to raise a human that's just, the equivalent of the selfie people who just want people to like their pictures on Instagram for attention. And I've been there in previous years of my life. I did not feel as confident with myself back then. And then you're looking for validation from other people, so teach your kids the lesson that it's really nice when people love your new sneakers. It's really nice when people love your water bottle, but like that's stuff that's gotten out of hand too. Every young kid needs to have a Stanley water bottle. They could barely fucking pick the things up. and then they fall over and it sounds like a bomb's coming. Like they're so heavy. Like my 3.5-foot kid needs a Stanley water bottle. Like, I don't think so. And more importantly, do you want the water bottle because you like it? Is it functional? Is it even comfortable to carry around, or because somebody's telling you you need a Stanley water bottle to be what? Accepted? Cool. Like, I'm going to have a field day with this once we get into like regular school, I think. I'm going to be a little bit of a bear, because I like to do things like I don't know. If somebody tells me I have to wear skinny jeans to fit in, I didn't get on the skinny jean trend till years after they were there. I wore what I was comfortable in. And then maybe I start to say like, all right, I could see how they're appealing. Now everything is back to like loose and baggy. I'm like a size 16 on a good day, size 18. Like, I don't want to wear baggy clothes. Like, I need tighter clothes to give me a shape. If I'm wearing clothes that fall off of me, I am a large person that is just made to look larger. But because somebody's telling me I got to wear baggy jeans to be in style, first of all, I'm 40 and I don't really care anymore. But even back then, like, no, I'm going to wear the things that make me feel the best, and I'll make it look as nice as I possibly can. But again, more teaching your kid, like, just because something is in style, if you like it and it's something we can afford, great. But do you want it just because other people are telling you that you need it to be cool? Or do you want it because, it's something that you actually like and want? And I think there's a big distinction between that. Playing games with kids, not giving up. So sports, games, and sportsmanship. This could all be wrapped up into one big lesson. Like, I am the least annoying person to play a game with. If you are winning, I am clapping for you. If you are not winning, I'm like, that's all right. You could still win. But like, my brother, on the other hand, will be like, you're not winning. You stink. Like, he's a big pain in the ass. He's 47 going on 12. He's a huge pain in the ass, a huge shit talker. And I am not like that. Whether I'm playing with my kid, I could be playing with you, a game. I'm just not competitive where like I feel the need to talk shit. I'm either going to win or I'm going to not. And it doesn't really matter to me either way, as long as I'm having fun. So I try to teach Marina that too. She'll be playing a game with me and she goes, I think you're going to win. I'm like, all right. Like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's all about like how you react to it. That's the biggest thing here. Like, nobody is going to want to play with a sore loser. And again, this is another one. If I've told her this like a billion times, like, and I try to really teach it, because I think too, kids, if you're playing and like you're doing pretend or whatever, and you start stomping your feet because you lost, like, other kids are not going to want to play with you. So like, it's not just that it's annoying to me, it's also like a life lesson too. Like, other kids are going to want to play with you and you're acting like a sore loser. Like, they're not going to choose to play with you later if you don't know how to lose gracefully. And I know a majority of kids don't do that, but it is really important to me. And one of the things that I try to teach her early on so that she gets it later. That is one that we are working on. We haven't gotten there fully yet, but we're trying. Try your best always, obviously, like, just do your best. And I know sometimes even watching her in dance, like, we have dance on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and Wednesday she's usually really good. It's a shorter class and it's the first class. On Thursday, when she goes back, she's a little bit tired from the day before, and Thursday's class is just a longer class, 45 minutes versus an hour. I could see at the end of the day, she starts to get a little like losing a little steam, and she'll start to just like not do her dance moves, at the, veracity or whatever that she did, earlier on in the class. And I get it. Like, I get tired too. I run out of steam, but always give it your best, even if your best is not 100%. See everything through. It's kind of like the same thing when you're running a race. You may have slowed down. Your body's like about to, it feels like it's just going to break, but you still cross the finish line no matter, how slowly that you have to. You make sure that you end, and that at the time is your best. So whatever it is, playing a board game, playing, I don't know, make pretend or make believe, pretend with other kids. Like, do your best, but enjoy it and just have a good attitude about it. Love yourself the most. I already went over that. And actually, that was when I was referring to like, people liking her dress or her this or her that. Like, you have to love it the most. That is actually a hint into the next kid's book. So stay tuned for that. Honesty is a big one. My mom always used to say this. Somebody will always find out if you lied at some point. It may not be right away, but somewhere down the road, somebody will find out that you lie. I have outed myself. I'm like the worst liar ever because I forget if I've like told a little white lie or something. And then later on, I'm just in the middle of a conversation with somebody and it'll like come out accidentally because I wasn't trying to keep it hidden. But even like large scale lies, or maybe like you didn't tell somebody the truth because you didn't want to hurt their feelings. Like, I don't know. I just feel like those things end up coming out and resurfacing later on. And as I always say, it's not usually what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So even if you have a hard truth for somebody, it's better, I think, me personally, this is my personal opinion. It's better to be honest in the moment because, I even remember when I was younger and say a friend was like, "How do you like my boyfriend?" When they end up not being together later on, or, somebody, does something stupid with the other person, like, you said that you liked him in the beginning. And you're like, "Oh, I didn't want to tell you that he was yeah, thank you for saying chooch. I was going to say another word. I didn't want to say it because then you sort of like, I don't know, sometimes people could think you sound like a hater or, whatever, and you also don't want to, like, what if he is secretly wonderful? But usually my gut is never wrong on those things. Like, you could tell if somebody's a douche or not, you could tell. So it's a big thing that I tell her to be honest with what you feel, but just make sure to do it as kindly as you can. Because I even say the same thing. There's times where I've come out in an outfit and she'll go, "Are you wearing that?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Yes, I am. Why do you not like it?" She goes, "Looks a little fancy." And it's all right. Well, I'm going to dinner with daddy. Like, she goes, "Okay." And I think actually what that comes from is like she wants to be coming to dinner. So she's like a little bit of haterade there too. But it's funny, like, ask nicely, or say things nicely, even if, it's not your favorite thing or whatever. I just think honesty is super important. And even when it hurts, as long as you deliver the message as nicely as possible. So, I've said before, it feels futile when you're teaching these lessons. And this wasn't like supposed to be like a super structured, these are the things that are very important to teach your children. I'm not trying to be a, parenting guru. I'm far from that. It's just really as it related to my kids' book, the reason why I wanted to write kids' books, what makes me excited for kids' books, A, what my daughter will learn from it, B, how can I help other parents too? Because when you're raising kids with other parents who are also raising kids, there are just so many different types of children. So like what I'm teaching my kid based on her personality could be totally different to somebody else who has, maybe a kid who's like a little bit more of like a shy personality. Like, somebody will be teaching a shy personality different things than what I'm teaching my kid. And I just think it makes the world go round when we're all focused on raising good human beings so that the world just becomes a little bit of a better place. Even when it feels like it's not working or the kids are not listening or you just have to repeat yourself over and over and over again, it is landing. As long as it's like anything, right? Consistency, weight loss, eating well, working, the lessons that you're instilling in your children, it's all about consistency. You just have to keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. And I really, truly believe one day when these kids are like, 25, you're just going to see like what a good human being you created because you never gave up on the lessons that were important to you that you wanted to instill in them. So even on your hardest days as a parent, when it feels like they are not listening to you, trust and believe that they are. And when you just keep doing it over and over, they're going to get that lesson and you're helping to just create a better human. I really, truly believe that. And on top of that, we can't protect our kids from everything. We can't teach them everything. So as many lessons as I want to be able to teach Marina, as many things as I want to be able to protect her from, I can't. Jay and I can't. So what you do is you teach them, what you know to teach them or what you're able to tell them, this is, if you run into this scenario, here's a good way to handle it. Those are building blocks, and she's going to build off of them as she goes into the world, as she goes into preschool and dance class. And even if she's with her own cousins and she's around different people, all different types of people that act all different types of ways around her, that bring out varying parts of her own personality. She's going to build on the things that Jay and I have taught her. And she's going to learn her own lessons. She's going to end up coming up with different teaching points that if one day she becomes a mother, she's going to teach her kids differently than, even the ways that Jay and I taught her. They have to experience life themselves. And as much as we want to sort of control everything as parents, you can't. The more that you try to do that, the more we're just going to end up suffocating them. So I'm a big believer in, let's lay some foundation here. Let's teach them, big chunks of things that are really important and near and dear to us so that they have those building blocks. And then they just go out into the world. They learn things on their own. They come back and they feel comfortable. That's a big thing. I say there's nothing you can ever not tell Daddy and I. You could tell us anything. And that is a big thing because I always want her to feel comfortable, whether it's something that happened at school, something that she did wrong. It doesn't matter. I'm more happy that you're telling me the truth than I would ever be mad at you for telling me the truth, so that there's always this landing zone for her to feel comfortable talking to us about anything. And then I know that I'm not going to have control over her, every aspect of her life ever, nor should I. But I will have a little bit of that in my back pocket where she feels comfortable coming to us because we've given her the space to feel comfortable. And I think that's really actually the most important thing as a parent that we keep trying to instill in her. There's nothing that you can ever not tell us. Honesty is the number one thing. Don't lie about stuff because, we'll figure it out at some point. And never you better not find out that I better not find out that you lied about something. That to some kids could be almost like a game. Oh, I bet I can lie and she won't find out about it. I'm really pretty, what's the word? I really choose my words wisely. I try to, at least as much as I can with her, not to say something like that. I better not ever find out that you're lying. That's not really teaching her why not to lie. That's basically challenging her to be sneakier, right? I better not find out that you're lying to me. Oh, okay. I'm not going to hide that from mommy so she doesn't find out. So, I hope any of those things sort of help you and remind you that everybody is teaching their kids different things. So maybe you have a few different things than what I just mentioned. Be kind to yourself as a parent. It is really hard given all of the circumstances, especially for people who have more than one kid, because you're teaching different kids different things at different ages. Be kind to yourself. Keep consistent with the things that you're teaching them that's important to you and that will grow up being important to them too. And know that this is one of the hardest jobs there is raising another human being, especially to be a good human being. And, it's an important job that we all have, and one that I'm really grateful to have, because I know a lot of people who wish that they had the ability to, and for whatever reason, they don't have kids or they can't have kids. So it can be very exhausting sometimes, but I'm also very thankful for it. So if you have interest in Is Today Tomorrow and any future kids books, a lot of those books will be infused with varying lessons of, different topics that I just talked about. Not just, cutesy little stories, but good stories for kids and really lessons for kids and their parents as they're reading the books together. That was really important to me too. When I'm spending 15 minutes reading my kid a book, I want it to be valuable time for me as well as them. So that is the type of kids books I wanted to write. So thank you again to everybody who has pledged our Kickstarter campaign. As of right now, we're recording this the beginning of April. I have 17 days left. By the time this airs, we'll probably only have 1 week left. So when you're watching this, if you can either pledge or share it with people that you think might have an interest in it, that would be so helpful just to get us to that $10,000 mark. That's our goal to hit. And I'll put the link below, and stay tuned for future kids books that I will just have as regular pre-orders on my website next time. I've learned my lesson. And then I'm also still working on my women's fiction series that I hope will be out this summer too. But we got a lot of stuff going on. So that's it for important things to teach our children. I hope it was helpful. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next week.
Thanks so so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, follow the full journey on social media at the handle mary.belle.books. And if you have need for audio-visual content creation and recording services, Cayi Visions is located in Stamford, Connecticut, and can also be found on Instagram at CAYI Visions.